Over the last 5 years, district officials have been working to change the city's nearly 60-year-old parking zoning code. Soon, the final draft will head to the Zoning Commission for final approval. Whitney Wild is in the Satellite Center to tell us why the changes are upsetting some residents. Whitney?
Yeah, Morris, some residents are sort of upset over this key provision that would relieve developers of an obligation to add parking when they build in high-density areas. And residents told us that they're worried that's going to make a tough parking situation even worse.
Even at 7 a.m., it took Jimmy Hill 15 minutes to find this parking spot.
Which wasn't too bad, you know, 'cause I get here early in the morning. But if you get here around 9 o'clock, you could look for a good 30, 40 minutes to find parking. Then you might be like 4 or 5 blocks away from where you're working at.
Now he worries changes to the zoning code will make it even worse.
Well, I think I have a hard time finding parking spaces down here.
The zoning code includes rules about where to park and who pays for it. Some regulations haven't changed in nearly 60 years. But for the last 5 years, D.C. officials have been working to rewrite the law. One proposal would let developers build in high-density areas without having to provide more parking.
We have a critical parking problem now.
John Townsend of AAA says the change would force residents to battle visitors for spots, making parking harder to find and more expensive.
What this would do would remove available on-street parking at a time when off-street parking is extremely limited.
But D.C. zoning officials say almost 40% of district families don't have a car. The law would let developers decide if extra parking is worth it based on the neighborhood.
Because the level of car ownership and the proximity to high-quality transit really varies across the city, it makes more sense to us that the parking that would be provided would depend on the demand that exists in that particular area.
Either way, Hill says he has just one parking requirement.
Closer the better. I don't walk too far.
Well, at the end of the month, the rough draft of that new zoning code will go to the Zoning Commission, and residents will be able to voice their concerns at a series of public hearings in the fall. Back to you, Morris.
Those meetings